Okay, so I wanted to break down your monthly payment. These are going to be probably the three most common desired monthly payments I hear from clients across the board. But I wanted to show you how this actually translates to your actual buying power. I'll also get into what does it actually look like with your PITI, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. That way you have a realistic expectation of what type of home you can afford. Again, I'm going to use high-level examples in regards to roughly where interest rates are as of today, which is August 12th. I will be going through the different types of loans and how does that affect the interest rate. So that'll be your first-time buyer loan, which is FHA in a lot of cases. I'll do VA as well, and then I'll do a conventional loan on top of it. So let's just dive right into it. Now, the most common payment I hear a lot of times, especially with first-time home buyers, look, housing is expensive. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's super cheap. We know with today's inflation, things have gotten more expensive. So I understand the desired monthly payment of roughly $3,000, right? That is probably one of the most common desired monthly payments I hear. So what does a $3,000 monthly payment look like in regards to a purchase price? Now I'm going to start with the FHA side. This is going to be roughly 3.5% down. It's a great option for first-time home buyers. Now I want you to focus on what do the numbers look like overall. However, there are programs that can help you offset your down payment. There are options to offset your closing costs on top of that. So that is a big difference to really understand. You have your down payment and you also have closing costs associated with going through the buying process, right? And we'll kind of dive into what those numbers look like. But again, what does a $3,000 monthly payment look like? Today's rates as of August 12th, they're roughly sitting around 6.25%. I'm just gonna jump over here so I can show you. This is a great tool that I look to utilize daily. It gives us good averages across the board. Again, you can see a 30-year fixed FHA, roughly around 6.29% as of today. Just gonna use this as good round number, 6.25, right? So $3,000 monthly payment, that translates into a buying power purchase price of around $387,000, okay? So what does that mean for you? That means if you are in the market to purchase a home and you wanna stay at a $3,000 monthly payment, you probably want to stay under $400,000, right? We'll kind of round up just a little bit just to keep things super easy. But again, about $400,000 or lower is what will obtain you a $3,000 monthly payment. Now, this is including everything. This is your PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. I'll give you a breakdown of what does it look like as a down payment. You're looking around $13,500, okay? Let's look at the details of what this actually looks like as we call your PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. So your principals and interest, you're roughly paying around $2,300 to your principal and your interest, okay? That's the first portion of that $3,000. Now the second portion is your taxes. That's about $375. Insurance, again, rough estimate, right, about $112. And then mortgage insurance, right? Because if you're putting less than 20% down, you will have mortgage insurance on top of that. So that's roughly about $170. So you can see here, what will you need to bring to close? You will need to bring around $27,000 in total, okay? Now you can see that down payment is roughly $13,500. And then you do have closing cost items that you need to factor in, which is going to be, there's prepaid items, including taxes, things of that sort, and then fixed costs, which may be associated with your loan, okay? So together with your down payment and your closing cost items, you're roughly looking around $27,000, okay? Now this is where I want, a lot of my clients don't really know that we can get sometimes this entire amount covered. It all depends on the home. I will tell you right now, builders' incentives are crazy. So if you're thinking about purchasing a new home, this is a phenomenal time because not only are they helping with your closing costs, they're actually providing interest rates that, to be honest with you, some lenders just cannot compete with. I'm just going to give you an example here. One of the builders that I know as of right now, as of today, they're offering a 4.95% interest rate, right? So let's kind of see how that actually affects your buying power and then what it looks like. So I'm going to change that, right? I'm going to update this here. So we actually went from $487,000 to $432,000, right? So we're talking around $45,000 additional buying power just by that interest rate being just a tad lower at 4.95%. So that's how it actually impacts your overall buying power. So if we look at this now in regards to like the details, what does this look like, right? You still have, yes, you still have your, roughly $29,000 worth of closing cost here because again, this price went up. But in correlation with what you're able to afford, you can see the benefits of it, right? You're still got that $3,000 monthly payment, but you do got a lower interest rate overall, which allows you to afford more home. Now, that's a big reason why, I get it, a lot of individuals are waiting, right, to see if interest rates drops. I can tell you the Fed did meet this past week, and the good news is we don't expect a rate increase hike, like a big spike. It held pretty steady. It was 2 job reports that were pretty soft overall. So again, that's kind of good news in our world as far as if you're looking to purchase a home, because that's actually going to keep the interest rates in line with what they are today. So again, we're not expecting a big hike, but we're also not expecting a big drop. So just keep that in mind. Home prices have steadily increased. They're not the 2020 to 2022 maybe increases that we saw back then, but we're still seeing slowly steady appreciation overall. So as much as I wish things were getting more affordable, pricing is still going up. Just to, again, I'm just bringing you the news as it is. There are some pockets where there may be opportunities, but if you're looking for those, housing crash prices, that's nowhere near where we're at as of right now. One, you still got owners that have plenty of equity inside their home so they can tap into their equity if need be. On the other side, you still have a buyer demand that is still not quite there in regards to the amount of homes that are needed, at least here in California. But there are pockets throughout, Southern California where you are seeing an increase in inventory, which is actually helping you as a buyer have room to negotiate either lower pricing, more credits for your closing costs, whatever the case may be. Again, I say, I get the question asked, is it a good time to buy a home? The question that I say is, do you want to buy a home? And if the answer is yes, I do want to buy a home. And the second question I ask, well, can you afford to buy a home? And they say yes, then that's a simple answer. Then you probably should buy a home. Like, that's literally it. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. I just think, hey, if you want to buy a house and you can afford to buy a house, then you should buy a house. Like, that's it. There are so many more tax benefits to owning, obviously, your own home versus renting. But again, flexibility, that's what the renting, side provides you. If you're more interested in protection, right? Hey, you will always have more protections as a homeowner versus an actual renter, right? And again, right now we're seeing a great opportunity if you do need help with those closing cost items, whether it's your down payment or again, those closing costs that are associated with purchasing a home. Right now is a great time to get in the market. So you can actually literally almost walk into a home with zero money down in some cases. Just depends on your situation, your loan type, all of that fun stuff. But in many cases, you can walk into a home with very little money out of pocket, just to be honest with you guys. So I wanted to share what it looks like here. Now, how does this affect if we change it? So if we go to a VA loan, right? So this is for my military, retired military, active military. What does that look like in regards to buying power? Obviously a little bit different because you don't have to worry about a down payment. You still have closing costs associated with your purchase. But again, if I'm just looking at a $3,000 monthly payment with roughly the interest rates are where they're at as of today, let's kind of pop over here. You can see they're pretty in line. Usually FHA and VA government loans, as we call them, are pretty much in line with one another. So we'll keep it here at the roughly 6.25%. So your purchasing power is about $397,000, okay? Now if we look at the details, let's look at the details. What do I need to bring to the table? So you can see this number is a lot lower than even like an FHA loan, right? So you're $13,000 out of pocket, $13,500 if we want to be exact, is out of pocket. Now your closing costs, this is again for my military people. This is an opportunity for you to literally walk into a home with almost no money out of pocket. It wasn't too long ago where I literally just helped one of my Navy clients. She walked in with an EMD, I believe it was about $1,000. And this was all negotiated. Again, it's very home specific, right? Walked in with $1,000 for her EMD. The only money she paid really out of pocket was for a home inspection. They cost her $375. She got her closing costs covered, and obviously there was no down payment. So again, it is home specific, it is area specific, but again, there is opportunity out there. So my military, this is a great opportunity. This is a great market for you guys to at least consider it, especially if you're going to be stationed, maybe somewhere for the next few years. San Diego is a huge, huge market for us in regards to, active duty military, all the military that we have out there. Phenomenal rental market. So even if you get PCS out of San Diego, we still have a very strong rental market in San Diego. So you can actually keep that home, rent it out, and still be able to capitalize on the equity long term. So if you're military, especially if you're young military, you can house hack. You can literally, again, might want to share this, but again, you purchase a home. If you need to rent out a room, there's nothing stopping you from renting out a room. So you get the benefit of owning, as well as, maybe you're a little bit younger and you're okay with the house hack of renting out rooms. You can actually offset your mortgage by renting out some rooms while you're actually building the equity as well. So I have a few clients that, were relatively young, 22, 23, 25. They did that. And again, they kind of laughing to the bank. So I'm just being honest with you, but it's there as an opportunity. But I did want to show you what $3,000 a month looks like. Okay. Now, if we go to the conventional side, conventional is going to look a little bit different. Rates are usually a little bit higher for conventional, okay? This is what you're seeing here. Now, this is with a 10% down, okay? But there are conventional loans as low as 3%. Usually we see around the lower end about 5%, but there are some 3% options. You do got to meet some credit criteria for those 3% options. But again, let's just call it 10% down. That's about $40,000, but you're going to be around a $403,000 purchase price. But if we change this to, like, say, a 5% down, so 5% down, you're looking around almost $20,000, right? $18,900. You're at a purchase price of $378,000 for that $3,000 a month payment. Okay. Now let's just kind of look at the details here. You got some fixed costs still, right? Your down payment's about $18,000, so $31,000. If you're in this bracket, you may not have a lot. There might be some benefits to actually, thinking about going FHA versus conventional, but those are things that you can discuss with your lending professional. But great option. If you can put a little bit more down, obviously you get a little bit more buying power.